What's up, internets? Welcome back to the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 DLC, and today we're going to be putting more focus on Fiora. Fiora, I've said before, as being arguably one of the best blades in the entire game, and easily the best blade we've gotten for this past DLC. Now, don't get me wrong, Shulk is an amazing blade in his own right, but Fiora takes the mechanics that we've already discovered thus far in our time playing this game since December, and she took it to a whole new level of brokenness, and it's the kind of brokenness that I really enjoy with these kinds of games, and I'm very happy to share with you the builds that we're going to be running with today. The thing about this build that you're watching right now is that if you've never ever played challenge mode, but you want to get your way into it, Fiora is your ticket. She will easily trivialize all the parts of challenge mode as long as you follow the build that we're going to be running with today. Just a couple of things I wanted to mention is that in comparison to the previous builds we used for the Blade Showcase, this time we're going to be using the Tachyon chip. The Tachyon chip will increase the critical damage that she does, and also it gives her a high amount of auto attack damage. Her critical rate is going to be lowered compared to a Moon Matter chip. However, since she does have the passive ability which lets her have more critical rate for herself and the entire party, it really does not matter. Full disclosure, the trust rank that Fiora also has right now is going to be S+, so the damage that she'll have for me will be a lot more. However, I would recommend very heartily that you guys would also work towards getting those love sources or spamming pouch items, however you want to do it, to get Fiora to S+, because it's totally worth it. For the aux cores that we're using today, we're going to be looking at max attack affinity, though this is pretty common, what you would expect on most blades anyway, and Hunter's chemistry. Hunter's chemistry is just extremely important. The reason why I want to place emphasis on this one is because the sooner she gets to max affinity, the sooner the rest of your party will get to max affinity, and it's just more damage right off the bat. There's a lot of uptime here that we're going to be looking at, and we want to make sure we can speed things as much as we can. And finally, there's going to be night vision. Usually you would give her something along the lines of a special level 2+, but night vision is going to be very important because I believe Cloudsea King Ken's revenge is going to primarily take place at nighttime, and you want to ensure that you have your accuracy. The reason why, of course, for those of you guys that aren't familiar with Fiora, is that fact that Fiora's weapon arts on Rex, she is irreplaceable. I would actually go as far to say that even though she's good on every driver, she is by far a total steamroll on all the enemies on Rex. And the reason why I say so is because of Screw Edge. Screw Edge is a great AoE attack. Not only is it AoE, it hits 3 times, and if any of those 3 hits connect as a critical hit, you'll be able to do it again. You can easily build your specials this way, and if you pair it up with a certain accessory, you're going to build up your party gauge, and that's going to be the focal point of our actual build this time around. So, the accessories that we're going to be using for our party, first we're going to look at Rex, Burst Symbol, which you would expect since we are going to be spamming chain builds, Avant-Garde Metal. Now, the thing about this one is, depending on what kind of boss you're fighting against, you may want to sub this out for something that gives you more damage, due to the fact that Fiora's level 2 and 3 specials are heals for yourself for level 2, and for the entire party for level 3. However, for the safety of it all, and if you also consider yourself to be in a challenge where there's multiple waves, Avant-Garde is going to perform the best. And finally, the Omega Drive. Omega Drive is by far the most broken item to have on Fiora. The reason why is because it takes about 5 seconds for Fiora by herself to build from minimum to maximum party gauge. And when you have the help and assistance of your other party members, you're going to be spamming party gauge like crazy, and you're going to be invincible for the entire duration. It's really useful due to the fact that the affinity chart changes for New Game Plus also made it so that your excellent scores on QTEs will help you build party gauge even faster. This is just a no-brainer. It's just really solid. Next person on our team is going to be Morag. Morag has the Burst Symbol and the Avant-Garde Metal too. It's mainly just for survivability's sake. It's pretty basic stuff what you're looking at right now. Crimson Headband is better than Optical Headbands by a whopping 10%. So yeah, definitely have that as soon as you can. The more you play challenge mode, the more likely you are to get this one. So if you have a Crimson Headband that is level 2, it's still automatically better than level 3 Optical Headbands. Next one is going to be Tora. Again, what you would usually have, except we're giving him the critical symbol. The reason why we're not going to be using the Avant-Garde Metal for him is because he already has it built into his Poppy QT Pie. Now, the Poppy QT Pie, the build that we're going to be running with, is pretty much what you've come to expect. I won't dwell on this too much, so feel free to pause the video right now and steal this build. You guys know you want to, but yeah, that's basically what it is. We've decided to give her that. Also, I want to make an adjustment. I'm going to switch her over to the Wind element. The cool thing about having Poppy is that you can always exploit elemental weaknesses, and if you have a Patroka or Ardainian on your team, then you'll be able to also increase that damage for your party gauge. So yeah, that's really, really good stuff. The mods that I've given to Tora are going to be a strength mod and HP mod. This way, if you have the master HP mod, Tora will be at cap HP no matter what. So yeah, that pretty much does it for the party. In terms of the pouch items that we're using, I've actually leaned away from astrology, because usually astrology would give you some more of the damage, but the thing is though, we already do so much damage as it is, especially at S+, so instead what I've decided to do is use the Chargrilled Grumbird, which you can get in Fonsamaima's Butcher, and then the Glarna Stir Fry, which you can get in the Fonset Butcher. These are really, really good, and it ensures that in between waves, you don't even need to switch your blades, you could just keep the same one, and they'll be able to go from 0 to full cooldown in just a matter of seconds. It's just really useful to have. Okay, so also I want to look at Rex's setup. This is something that you guys may want to play around with yourselves, but essentially Fiora is going to be the focal point of our little video here. Patroka, you can also kind of substitute this with Ardainian if you don't have Patroka yet, but I think Patroka does more just because she's an attacker, unlike Ardainian. And also I have a common blade with the Orb Master ability. The Orb Master can be any element that you want, just make sure there's a 100% chance and that it doesn't have an opposing element to either the Fiora or any of the people in your party. So since this one's a dark element and we have no light elements on our team, we are pretty much good to go. You want to make sure everyone can have that second turn if you're looking for that second or that single orb setup. So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to cut the video and I'll show the demonstration. Alright, so here we are at the Cloudsea King Ken Revenge. This is a really interesting one, and primarily takes place in nighttime, so this is what night vision is for. My current best time is 3 minutes and 30 seconds. I do know that there are people out there that can do it in less than like 5 seconds, but for us mere mortals, this can easily fulfill your needs. Usually whenever you play as Fiora, the best method of action is just to do one level 2 combo to keep yourself as healthy as possible. Once you score the excellent, you should be pretty close to a full party gauge. Then from then on, it's just a matter of spamming away until you can get that Cyclone. By the time Tora does the Cyclone, you can quickly switch over to Patroka, do the level 3, and then that is going to be your first orb of the match. Alright, so here we go. As you can see, there's also the automatic wind element weakness for Cloudsea King Ken. Partway through the battle, it's going to go ahead and turn into an earth element, so really we're just going to capitalize on this as best as we can. So here we go, we're mashing that plus button. Mashing plus in this game is actually a very viable strategy just because you can dodge so many dangerous attacks. Most of the time, Cloudsea King Ken would be considered one of the most challenging bosses in the entire of challenge mode due to the fact that this particular enemy constantly takes momentum away from you, the player. He's able to do this by taking away your party gauge, by constantly spamming break on your tank. He's just a really tough guy to deal with at times, but honestly though, since we have all these powerful blades with us, we're going to be making mincemeat out of him. Or calamari, should I say. Okay, so I have a T-elos on my team. The reason why I have this is because I honestly consider that, like, in terms of doing single orb setups, T-elos does perform better, but if you're one of the lucky few people that has a Cosmos, another thing that you can do is actually use that one instead, because the level 1 for Cosmos is going to be stronger. Alright, so as you can see over there, we're well onto nearly one-third of this guy's HP. So now it's just up for me to spam this attack. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rush into a level, rush to a level 3 combo, and then have Tora do his. And then once this is finished, this guy's going to go ahead and do a Cloud Breath, which is fine. Remember, he takes away all of your party gauge, but Fiora just built it up that much faster. Make sure you score excellence as much as you can. And there's actually a Thunder Gale. Do you know what? We're going to let this Thunder Gale happen instead. The reason why is because we don't need to use Patroka anymore. Patroka has basically done her job, and honestly, with that in mind, we won't have to worry about Patroka accidentally breaking this particular gauge too quickly. Okay, here comes the Lethal Harpoon. Once you see any text happen beneath that, beneath the HP bar of the enemy, feel free to mash that plus button, because remember, invincibility cooldown. Alright, working our way down. Again, if you're using a single orb setup, T-elos just cannot be beat, just because of that level 2 special being so good. Here we go. So yeah, slowly working our way through. Don't forget to get your QTEs whenever you can. And yeah, Fiora's level 2 is also very, very good. Like, most of the time, you're going to find that single orb setups tend to be a lot better for newer players that haven't done this kind of thing before, or they're working their way through challenge mode for the first time, due to the fact that whenever you break an orb, you do get an increase to the damage multiplier, which you can see on the left side of the screen. That's why we're stacking all of these burst symbols for the accessories. Totally worth it if you ask me. Okay, so now we've gone to that, and I'm pretty sure we're going to be facing off against a Tentacle Storm now. So we gotta be really careful for this part. Unfortunately, I did not build up a level 3 combo. A general rule of thumb, and one that I will be recommending more and more as we continue to do these challenges, is that building a level 3 right before a chain gauge will be very important, because once you finish a chain attack and the enemy survives, what's gonna happen there is you're very, very vulnerable to a wipe. If you, the player, gets hit and you have no chain gauge, then you are going to end up losing and failing because there's no way to revive you. So what I would do then is just make sure you have full affinity, and honestly, most of the time you will have full affinity, just due to the fact that Fiora is so good at that. Once you have your level 3, just wait a bit until it becomes a level 4, and there's a free invincibility cooldown. If you score excellence on the invincibility cooldown, then that is going to give you some more party gauge to work with. So yeah, this Cloud Seeking Can is already basically done. Took a little bit longer than I would have liked it to. If we had a more specialized build where we had a bunch of like the more rare OP blades, I'm pretty sure it would, like, I've seen some setups that can do less than a minute. So like, it's just really crazy to see the kind of ceiling that the challenge mode has exposed for us, and really, I can't wait to see what challenges that they have along the way. Fiora is the perfect way to bridge the gap for people that are feeling a little bit left behind, that they don't have necessarily the same investment, and she's definitely worth any time investment that you would care to kind of send her way. Really, really good. Alright, and in just over 4 minutes, we've gotten ourselves a dead Cloud Seeking Ken. Like I said, considered one of the most difficult out of all the different bosses in the challenge mode. So what's going to happen now is we're going to cut the video, and I'll take you guys to the next one. Hope you enjoy it. Alright, you guys definitely didn't forget this one. This is the Ardainian 9th Division. This is a really, really fun one, and featuring probably one of the most intimidating bosses in the entirety of challenge mode, which will be Ice Cream Man. Before we do that though, essentially what you want to do once you begin this challenge is just spam away at the Ardainian Muss. The Ardainian Muss is going to prevent you from having a third chain gauge, or a third party gauge. Basically, as soon as he's down though, immediately start spamming away with your specials, and you will be able to get yourself a nice amount of chain gauge before Ice Cream Man appears. Now, if I did that QTE properly, that would have been a full gauge for us, so we could have done it immediately, but what we're going to do is we're going to try to aim for single targets. If you have an Orb Master on your team, this is going to make the experience that much smoother. So here we go, spam away, and I'm going to build up whatever I can. Probably build myself to a level 2, switch over to my Orb Master, and then do this one. Honestly, make sure you score excellence regardless, just get yourself into a habit of it. And now there is the Titan Awakening. This is really, really scary stuff. Honestly, part of what makes this particular boss so scary is the fact that he just has a lot of spike damage, and especially right off the bat. As soon as the battle begins, you are going to be eating spike damage. If you don't have crit heal, you are going to have a rough time. Thankfully, however, Fiora is pretty good at just taking care of people that need a little bit more critical under their belts. Alright, so now there's going to be no more elemental weakness. You can't really play around with Petroka that much on this one, unfortunately, due to the fact that partway through the actual fight it does disappear, or partway through the actual chain attack it does disappear. Here we go. So we're going to go for more than 2/3 of his health though, so this is going to be great. So again, gets that near cap damage, and now it's just a matter of building another orb as quickly as possible. So, again, gonna work my way towards this, if I can. Okay, so yeah, as you see, we're building up really, really quickly. What we could also do is just spam away right now. And yeah, then just do the level 3, get that excellence. Once it appears, he's going to do a battle alert, but it's too late, he is already dead. This is a really, really broken build, and I love it so much. Having an Orb Master with Fiora is extremely useful, but even if you didn't though, another viable strategy that I've seen some people do is just give Fiora the Omega Drive, spam away, and then once that chain attack finishes, start spamming some more. It takes a little bit longer, but it is just a lot of fun to do, and honestly, that's why we play these games. So again, Fiora's going to come in, and actually, I think Oh, we were close to killing that one, but I guess T-elos is going to be the one to finish it off. Goodness, this blade is so broken. The cool thing about T-elos is that all the kills that you get from all the different waves is going to continue to carry over in between the encounters, so it's just really, really solid. And just like that, it's a dead Ice Cream Man. Once this battle finishes, there's going to be an Ardainian sniper off towards the entrance, so I'm just going to quickly collect these. And then once this guy appears, I'm going to just send my guys over there by mashing left on the D-pad. And I'm going to take care of these guys. Fiora has plenty of tools at her disposal. And honestly, even with this AoE break ability that I have, not break, the AoE critical recharge that I have, yeah, most of the small enemies just fall really, really quickly. If I position myself properly, if I positioned myself a little bit more to Rex's left, I actually would have been able to hit both of them, but that's okay. Anyways, just quickly work my way through, and we are good to go. Just like that, clear a wave, and more than enough boxes to give us the maximum reward. Wave 4, bring it. So again, if you want, you can also do the auto attack cancel to give yourself a little bit more speed for your screw edge critical recharge. And yeah, they're all dead. It's pretty wonderful, I have to say. It's the nice thing about having Fiora in this game is that immediately the game changes into a much messier, much more chaotic, and at the same time very overwhelming. It's a very satisfying feeling to be able to overwhelm your enemies, and that's exactly what we've done with the Ardainian 9th Imperial Division. So now, just like before, we're going to cut the video, and I'll see you at the third and final challenge. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to reinvent the Gogol. Fiora performs really, really well for this challenge due to the fact that there's plenty of waves to go through. Normally, it's a very time-consuming affair, but remember, Fiora does just everything well. This screw edge attack all on its own, it just does everything right. It has the ability to build up gauge, it has the ability to build up special, and it does a lot of damage. Like, I think the DPS that she does is right up there with some of the very best. Some of the best great axes can't even compare with this one. It's just that good. And honestly, they've really set the bar high. Like, they've set the bar really, really high with T-elos. A month ago, I believe that's when it was, when they released her. She set the bar really, really high, but Fiora also deserves some recognition as one of the best blades in the entire roster. And yeah, you're able to clear the waves really, really quickly, so here we go. I'm gonna try to get myself in position. Most of the time you do want to be kind of in the thick of it. Remember, Fiora has built-in crit heal with her level 2 and 3 special, so don't worry about getting damaged too much. Obviously, you want to make sure you can land everything and be fully mindful of when your abilities are on and off cooldown. But until then, though, it's just pretty much a spam match. Most of the time, there's no skill involved. You're just spamming away a screw edge with reckless abandon, and she just does it so well. Alright, and I guess we're just gonna do these specials? Yeah, sure. I think that should be pretty high damage. Yep, that's a wind break. Whenever Tora inflicts break with Poppy QT Pie, just do a special and that'll be an instant kill because of the burst damage from the fusion combo. Alright, next one, I think it's a Wolf Master. Yep, Wolf Master is over here. Probably aim at the big guy and then start spamming away at Screw Edge. Remember, we have all these different abilities with us, so it should not be that bad at all. Alright, so again, Tora's going to do a wind on the Wolf Master, and you know what? I'm going to do my level 2 despite the fact that the timing is not right. Because remember, AoE. That's really, really good. Honestly, it's like, whenever there's a level 2, I feel that most of the level 2s of the blades in this game have a tendency to just be, have a tendency to just have AoE in them, whether it's Mythra or Shulk or Cosmos, so you definitely want to take full advantage of that. Here we go. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention is that when it comes to using Poppy, or Poppy QT Pie, you do have the ability to change the element that she is in between battles. So if you want to make use of Patroka, that's exactly what you'll be doing. For the big bad of this one, Senor Carlos, he does have a tendency to be dark elements, but I wasn't entirely sure of that, so I decided to keep Poppy QT as a wind element just for the purposes of building gauge just a little bit faster. It's not gauge, building the orbs just a little bit faster. It helps, and you've noticed that happening quite recently. Okay, so here comes the hunting roll. I think this is the last of them. And yeah, good to go. Easily done. 2 minutes and 50 seconds to finish all the waves before the big bad himself makes his appearance. So as soon as the battle begins, it's pretty much just a chopping match. That's pretty much every battle when you're using Fiora, to be honest. Here we are. Immovable Air Carlos. So again, we have all the pouch items that will lower our recharges just that much faster, and now it's just a matter of cancelling everything out. Usually what you could do is just, I could go ahead and use my Orb Master, but for the purposes of this video, what I'm going to do instead is just build up to a team heal. Yeah, build up to a team heal. So that everyone can enjoy something like everyone does have a crit heal, but I just want to make sure. And we also have a Thunder Gale on our team. So here's what we're gonna do. In long drawn-out fights like this one, a very good idea and a good habit to get into is to, right before you initiate a chain attack, you might want to get yourself to a level 3. Remember, you're going to be fully vulnerable once he survives the chain attack, so you might as well make it so that you have your own emergency cooldown, just in case the worst comes to happen, because the last thing you want is for a wipe out of nowhere. So there we go, I have the level 3, and it's time to initiate the chain attack. This was an electric element, so I will not be using Patroka for this one, which is fine, because there's no elemental weakness for us to take advantage of. Alright, so now T-elos is up to bat. Again, she reaches cat damage no matter what element you're up against, and the QT Pie. Now, if I had her as Dark Element, usually Carlos does reach Dark Elements, but honestly, we can do just fine without it. We're going through a lot of health just with the single orb setup. And yeah, here comes the T-elos. So yeah, like there's just a lot of safety involved for this one. For all the crazy damage that you're doing, for how fast-paced it all is, the fact that you're just rushing at the enemy, there's a lot of safety. As long as you continue looking at the bottom of the enemy's HP, you'll know which dangerous attacks are on the way. So what's going to happen now is I'm just going to stand for a bit until I get that level 4. If I see a wild wave, then I want to know about it. Okay, so that's happened, that's fine. Yeah, there's a wind element over here, and a reset punch. Okay, so now it's just up to me to build up my gauges again. And honestly, while this is all going on, Morag is also building hers up, building her special up. So again, that wild wave would have completely wiped us, but we're not going to let that happen. Alright, so the Thunder Gale is going to be on the way soon. I'm going to do a couple of more hits. And honestly, I don't even think we need to be safe anymore. We could actually just do it right now. Okay, so yeah, the Venom Cloud, it just hit us, but honestly, we're going to be invincible for the rest of the attack. Just fine by me. So that is going to be one more gauge, and as soon as I press this plus button, he is immediately going to die. So here we go. Alright, so that's the electric orb for us. Again, hands off of the earth orb, and Fiora gets to be the first one up to bat. Magnificent. Perfect. Yeah, and because now that he is the Dark Element, it might even be guaranteed, actually. The thing about the elemental weaknesses of bosses in this game, I remember trying to look into this when I was doing the Patroka showcase, but the elemental weaknesses tend to be completely random most of the time, with a few exceptions. The exceptions being Artifice Ophion being weak to light, and Gladiator Orion being weak to earth, and then, what's his name, Cloud-Seeking Ken, both versions of Ken actually being weak to wind. So, I don't know, I think that also might be the case for this guy, but that's okay. Honestly, I think the reason why they did that is because they wanted to make sure that he was resistant to the Monado and to the Aegis Sword. But yeah, just like that, a dead Carlos. Didn't take that much, all it took was just some easy blades to get. You might have noticed that all the blades that we were using today are the ones that are fairly easy to get. Like, there was no randomness involved, aside from, of course, the Orb Master, but I find that most people, if you're hunting for rare blades, you're going to encounter Orb Masters. Like, if you're going to crack open 50 legendary cores in one night, make sure you check before the actual... make sure you check before you release them. Just check what the battle skills are so that you don't lose out on a 100% Orb Master. But yeah, that's basically Fiora in a nutshell, you guys. She really helped bring a team together, and she's no slouch at damage herself. She does such a good job at taking out all the reinforcements that come into play and just easing the job of your tank. She's the kind of healer that heals people by means of prevention. Like they say, prevention is the best medicine, and what better way of preventing than completely annihilating your enemies before they even have a chance to scratch you. Guys, thanks very, very much for joining me on this video. Fiora is your ticket to winning challenge mode. She completely trivializes it, and honestly, any challenge that the developers will throw at our way in future DLC has a lot going for them if Fiora is still going to be on our team. Take care, everyone.